At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Learn more at asuonline.asu.edu.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. 1-877-DOC-DALI. So you would think with the upcoming midterms and then another election that we're going to see in 2028, that the Democrats would be looking more at what were popular issues for voters. You know, do we have a secure border? Is the economy growing? Are we not overpaying? And other countries are starting to pay more of their fair share. Are we improving our kids' proficiency in reading and math? Are we improving our hospital infrastructure? Are we trying to fix Obamacare? These are things that if I was a Democrat, I would be like, let's fix. If I was a Republican, I would be doubling down on some of the things that Trump has done that have improved. But unfortunately, one of the big sticking points that the Democrats are really still stuck on, which is going to really hurt them, is if a man could become a woman and if a woman could become a man. I am blown away at how you are seeing a political party struggle with something so biologic but unfortunately, it's something that is going to, I guess, be a part of the debates later. Women in sports. I'm confused because we have progressed so much for women, and women can now, play WNBA. You got your, women in the Olympics. You got women boxing, women weightlifting, and then now we're letting biological men compete against them and win. That should be a no-brainer. But the Democrats are divided. Rahm Emanuel was, I guess, on the Megyn Kelly show. He says he does not believe a man could become a woman. And Kelly had asked him, can a man become a woman? He said no. She said, why don't more people in your party say that, according to Daily Mail? He said, because I'm now going to go into a witness protection plan. I'm not saying medically, I'm just saying it can't happen. Now, he was advisor? He was the chief of staff to Obama. And then during the Biden administration, he served as ambassador to Japan. But he is now concerned that he, may not be able to run for president because he says, quote, I have a son and 2 daughters, and they are physically different. Now, the fact that we can't say sons and daughters are different is, that's a big problem. And as a physician, I'm very confused because we made such progress on preventing parents and teachers throwing these young kids into quote unquote gay camp to force them to not be gay. So, making them go through psychological evaluations and barbaric treatments to make kids, reject any homosexual feelings they have. We stopped that. And we said, no. Okay, that's wrong. It's barbaric. You cannot force a kid to be something they're not. And if that child, ends up having homosexual tendencies, and you cannot force that or put them in a camp. Yet here we are just a couple years later forcing another sex on the child. I thought we were done being cruel. And now we're telling a young child, I know you have a penis, but we're going to make you a girl. I thought we all agreed that that was cruel to do in terms of homosexuality. So now you're trying to make them into a girl so they're not homosexual anymore, or they're another gender. We're promising these kids that they are going to be something they're not. Now, I understand we have some stars who look fantastic as another gender. They have, just in terms of their transformation, and a lot of money and a lot of work, but they're not biologically male, female. And you're promising a kid that you're going to turn them into something they will never be. I thought that was cruel. And now it's not cruel anymore? This is why the UK is like, no, we're not endorsing this anymore. That's cruel. And if a Democrat is like, look, boys and girls are different. That's XXXY. Gender might be a societal construct, but, changing sex is an impossibility biologically. You could try to transplant a uterus and transplant you are not going to make them 100% female or 100% male. So where's the honesty? And then how safe are those treatments? And the fact that there are Democrats going, my career may be over because I have sons and daughters and they're different, starts to make you scratch your head. And if I was a Democrat, I would be like, wait a second, I don't want people thinking I've lost my mind. I completely understand that XX and XY are different. I understand that. And I understand that some people want to be recognized as somebody they're not, but I'm not going to force children into that. I'm not going to lie to children. I'm not going to force young girls to bathe with biological males. And I think the Democratic Party could be saved if you allow people to have common sense and opinions that are scientifically sound. 1-877 Doc Daliah.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys. We're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer, and big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So we're being told that when Malcolm Jamal Warner died, actor who played Theo Huxtable on The Cosby Show, died this weekend on a Costa Rica beach. There were no lifeguards on duty. Now, I wish there were, because his life could have been saved. But I never see lifeguards on beaches anymore. I've been to California. I don't know when the last time I saw, and I'm not at the beach a lot. I mean, I was in Hawaii a few years ago, no lifeguards. I've been to California beaches, no lifeguards. I don't see lifeguards usually. I see a lot of signs saying no lifeguards, but I don't see a lot of lifeguards. I think the last time I might have seen a lifeguard was in the 90s. Although I was at a pool at Adventure Park in Iowa, and there were lifeguards. And they were whistling and yelling at me because my son and my nephew kept pushing my inner tube to the wall where we're not supposed to be. And so I kept getting yelled at, and then I had to whoop both their butts. But I've never really seen a lifeguard on a beach, not in a long time. I remember as a kid in the 80s, you would see them with sunscreen on their nose, and they would be up in those little, I don't know, blinds, like duck blinds, right? Well, unfortunately, I think we need to get back to having lifeguards because people are getting pulled away by rip tides and rip currents, which we believe is what happened to Malcolm Jamal Warner. He was on a family vacation in Costa Rica, and he died on Sunday. He was only 54 years old. And we're being told that Playa Grande lifeguards, Playa Grande means big beach, claimed they were not present where the incident occurred due to, quote, lack of resources. According to the Costa Rica's Volunteer Lifeguard Association, Caribbean Guard, they say, we deeply regret the passing of Malcolm Jamal Warner at Playa Grande. He was swept away by a strong rip current and died by drowning. It all happened very quickly, and although there were people on the beach who entered the water to rescue him, they did not arrive in time. He was pulled from underwater without vital signs, and despite CPR maneuvers being performed on the beach, resuscitation was unsuccessful. Now, Playa Grande is well known by local surfers. It's one of their most challenging beaches. The statement added that there are signs placed along the beach in both Spanish and English, warning of the danger of death due to drowning. The guards shared that they had patrolled there over the past few years, but not at the time of Warner's death. The statement said, due to recent aquatic incidents in Playa Negra, we had redirected resources there and to Chiquita, another iconic beach known for its strong currents. Playa Negra means black beach. Chiquita means small. The social media, or small girl. The social media post included a message addressed to Costa Rica's President Rodrigo Chavez Robles. They say from Caribbean Guard, a volunteer lifeguard association, so they're volunteers. We make an urgent appeal to the President of the nation, the national government, the municipality of Talamanca, and the entire Caribbean community to continue joining forces to minimize this problem, which sadly is on the rise across the entire country. They say we do everything within our reach. We've saved numerous lives in recent years. And if the Caribbean Guard didn't exist, the number of drownings would be counted in dozens. We give everything we have to minimize the risk, but without the help from the government, clear public policies, and strong support from local business owners, This will continue to happen. So the incident occurred between 2 and 2:30 p.m. local time. Bystanders pulled him from the water, brought him to shore, couldn't help him. Now, these rip currents and these rip tides are pretty damn dangerous. You could identify them, though. You could identify them by looking at where the water changes. So when you see like a darker strip of water or water with a different flow than others, that could be a riptide. And one, before you enter a beach, you should identify, respond, and know what the local conditions are. Have I ever done that? No. I recommend we do it, but I don't. I'm like, let's head to the beach. I take off my shoes, whatever I'm wearing that is, sometimes I'll wear boxers as a bathing suit, and then I'll run to the beach. I don't usually plan ahead. But sadly, you need to. So if you see darker, deeper water, fewer breaking waves, a rippled surface surrounded by calmer water, that could be your rip current. Now, sometimes that's hard to see from the beach if you're sea level, which means as you're walking down from your car or to the beach, you need to look for these. Don't just look to see where other people are. Well, if that person there is above the water, it's safe. You can't do that. Now, you might get caught in a rip current. We always tell you, stay calm. The rip current will not necessarily submerge you. It'll drag you away from shore, and you start to panic because of the force. But just stay calm. If you try to swim back to shore vertically or perpendicularly, you may not be able to beat the ocean. You could tire, and then you could fall underwater. So what we recommend you do is go left or go right. Swim parallel to the shore. Now, we understand you might be going more like a hypotenuse, like a triangle, and angled because of the rip current, but eventually you'll be able to swim out of that rip current. So keep moving left or keep moving right. Beeline 90-degree angle parallel to the beach. Then, hopefully, once you're out of the rip current, then you can go and swim to shore. If you feel like you can't swim out of the current, float. Try and tread water. Don't panic. Maybe get on your back. Ride it a little bit until you feel you could catch your breath, and then try to swim off to the side. Wave, yell, scream. Make sure you are wearing bright colors so people could identify you. Hopefully a lifeguard will see you. If you are witnessing somebody, alert a lifeguard, throw a flotation device. You have got to be very careful entering the water yourself, because what's going to happen is you're going to try to make a beeline straight for them, and then you get caught in the rip current as well. From what I understand, Malcolm Jamal Warner was with a couple other people, and they all got caught in this, but they survived. I think one is currently at the hospital. But it's unfortunately, it's something that affects us, a lot more often than we think. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, says to stay at least 100 feet away from piers and jetties. They say permanent rip currents often exist along these structures. What I notice a lot of is many of us like to go to the rocks. And we might be swimming and we're like, let's go swim and climb the rocks. What you don't understand is the flow of the wave will send you crashing against the rock, and you could have head injuries. And so if you want to get to rocks, I wouldn't do it by your boat, especially since there could be shallow water and you could tear through your boat. And I wouldn't swim up to a rock in the water, unless, of course, you are in danger and you can't get to the beach. But I would get to the rocks by the beach on land, because many people get thrown up against the rocks. And, a lot of us don't live near beaches. I don't. I live in Southern Nevada. Now, I grew up, off and on in California because, that's where my family was and that's where I was born. But many of us, when we go to a beach, maybe once a year, once every 3-4 years, and you forget, practice your swimming. A lot of us don't have pools. We don't swim. I think everybody should learn how to swim. And we don't necessarily teach people swimming, drowning. When I took scuba lessons, they make you practice swimming without your mask and oxygen. Not oxygen, your air and your respirator. Because if you panic, you can drown. So you practice losing your mask, losing your air access, and you have to just calmly put it back on, put it back in, blow air out of the mask so that you can very calmly recover. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Lisa Wolf here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you. And be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I guess making headlines is Stephen Colbert again. We know his show got canceled. Last airing is going to be May of next year. And instead of, learning from why, right, the show is not doing well. Apparently they've lost, $40 million? He says he's going to double down and not hold back as it pertains to Trump. Really? Don't you realize why your show got canceled? It's because it's not funny. I mean, come up with some funny stuff. You have 10 months to get on another network to show that you could actually be funny again. Because Stephen Colbert is very talented. But it just, his show wasn't. He used to be really funny on The Daily Show. He could sing. He can act. There's a lot he can do. But when he decides to go all politics, it's not very funny. So you would think in the next 10 months, he's like, you know what, I'm going to change this around. And I'm going to show you what we could do. But instead, he said no. During the opening monologue yesterday, he said, for the next 10 months, the gloves are off. He says, I could finally speak unvarnished truth to power and say what I really think about Donald Trump starting right now. I don't care for him. Isn't that he's been complaining about? That's come up with something funny. Trump on Truth Social said, I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings. He says he hears Jimmy Kimmel is next, has even less talent than Colbert. Greg Gutfeld is better than all of them combined, including the moron, he says, on NBC who ruined the once great Tonight Show. Colbert responded, how dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? And then he said, go blank yourself. So, CBS announced last Thursday that it would cancel The Late Show next May at the end of the broadcast season. So you have the Late Show, you have the Tonight Show. I'm confused. You got Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel, and you have the Johnny Carson shows and the Jay Leno's. You just don't see that quality anymore. But what made those shows so incredible? Well, one is you had talent come on there. Who is Stephen Colbert's guest? Bernie Sanders? Adam Schiff? I am not going to stop watching Squid Game or Game of Thrones reruns or stay up late to watch Adam Schiff. Come on. I'd rather vomit. I mean, I guess that is an Ambien. I mean, in a way, because Adam Schiff is boring as hell. But these comedy shows decided to, as I said before, cloak themselves in political satire to protect themselves from being politically incorrect. They won't get canceled if they say stuff that's anti-Trump. So if they're anti-Trump, they'll be protected from the cancel mob. And that's what they're doing, as opposed to what they used to do with comedy. And it used to be funny. There used to be some risque jokes, but everybody is so afraid that they're going to say something that's going to offend somebody that they want to say, but wait a second, I was anti-Trump. Okay, he's anti-Trump, so we're going to let him off. And it's not funny. Nobody's being funny anymore. And Colbert discussed CBS's reasons for canceling the show. He says, how could it purely be a financial decision if The Late Show is number one in ratings? I don't think it is. I think Gutfield beats him. And even Gutfield, I don't find that show very funny either. Again, politics, I understand that political satire can be funny, but a joke or two, I don't, I think Gutfield is talented, and he makes some salient points, but I don't watch his show either. But CBS, $40 million. The host cited Puck News journalist Matt Maloney, who said that Colbert's show was losing $40 million a year. Colbert said $40 million is a big number. I could see us losing $24 million, but where would Paramount have possibly spent the other $16 million? So he's going off and whatever, and I understand, his previous Daily Show buddies like Jon Stewart are backing him, and yeah, but I don't really care about what happens to him, but what I care about is we're starting to have a dearth of really good entertainment. And I need that. That's why I cannot wait till July 31st is when preseason football starts. And even though preseason, it's better. Preseason football is better than what's on now. I need escapes. I need to get away from the everyday news and all that. You used to just see the news, or at the end of the night, there would be comedy. So you would see the kids would go to bed. You'd see Jay Leno, or you'd see Johnny Carson. There'd be musical guests. It would be a show. Now all these shows are all about, well, let's make fun of the president. And after this next election, Hollywood is realizing that there's not enough Americans that are anti-Trump to make a profit. People don't want to listen to that. Now, if you make a good joke and you joke about everything, but then eventually get off the politics, please. So I'm hoping that, Hollywood and late night in New York, they learn something. Apparently these teenagers aren't learning something. Did you know that there's this prank? This is ridiculous. It's called a purge prank, where kids pretend to break into a home with what looks like automatic weapons, but they're not. It is a ding-dong ditch on steroids. So you see camera footage of a group of 5 Florida teens making their way towards a home in Riverview, about 20 minutes from Tampa. One of the unidentified teens is walking towards the house with a ski mask covering his face and an airsoft gun. Now, if you don't recognize what an airsoft gun is, you're thinking this is a weapon, and this person is going to kill you. They kick the front door, they fire a plastic pellet, and then they run away. So the teen is pointing a gun at the door, firing it, several shots rings out, and then he runs back to his friends and they're all giggling. It's called the Purge or the Door Kick Challenge. Oh, that's scary. Remember there was a group of 4 who were coming back from a party and they pulled into the wrong driveway and the owner shot them because he thought it was a group that was about to descend on his house? People are going to get shot and killed. I mean, if you see the pictures, if I see somebody with their face covered and them holding what looks like, I mean, I can identify an airsoft gun, but if it's dark and I can't tell and all I see is a weapon, that I'm going to get them off my property and I'm going to protect my family. So a 15-year-old Jeffrey Murphy and a 13-year-old Zamari Reddick were arrested after they kicked their neighbor's door in. The teenagers were slapped with felony burglary charges after they kicked in another stranger's door in Florida. You can't be doing that. Why is this a prank? Why is this a stunt? You could get shot. And I'm looking at these people, especially when you have so many individuals getting broken into and home invasions and murders. And now you're going to have your 13-year-old kid is doing this. Watch your kids. Talk to them. Tell them to quit being stupid. 1-877-DOC-DALI.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799, and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-DOC-DALI, 1-877-DOC-DALI. Well, people really love their Viagra. Viagra is a big popular one, and Cialis. People love their Xanax, their benzodiazepines. They love their Percocet. And one of the number one drugs continually prescribed and even more than Ozempic and Wegovy and Mounjaro and Zepbound for weight, one of the number one drugs that is asked for and overused is Ambien. Ambien came out in the 90s, and it transformed insomnia to the point where people are addicted to it. It's a non-benzodiazepine medication for sleep that people think is non-addictive, but it is addictive. And Ambien works by enhancing the effects of GABA, which is a neurotransmitter that inhibits nerve activity in the brain, so you start getting sedated and sleepy. It binds to the GABA A receptors, I think specifically alpha 1, and it promotes relaxation and sleep fairly quickly. Because it selectively binds, it doesn't necessarily cause long-lasting sluggishness like you do with the H1 antihistamines like Benadryl. And so many, I think it was the Navy SEALs, and one of the Navy SEALs books talked about how they would take Ambien right before they would on their way to a, I guess, mission. They would sleep on the plane using Ambien because they would be able to fall asleep fast, and then they would be able to be woken up quickly without grogginess. And Ambien and these anti-hypnotic sleeping medications just completely transformed the sleeping aid industry. However, it does not mean it's safe. Even though it's not as addictive as benzodiazepines like Valium and Xanax and might not cause seizures, there are side effects with it. And Hunter Biden thinks the side effects of Ambien is why his dad performed miserably in the debate. So Ambien is back in the news. Hunter Biden claims, I know exactly what happened in the debate with Donald Trump. Hunter is 55 years old. And he told YouTube personality Andrew Callaghan in an interview that it was the Ambien. He said Joe Biden, he flew around the world. He's 81 years old. He's tired. They gave him Ambien to be able to sleep, and he gets up on the stage and looks like a deer in the headlights. Now, again, I'm a little confused because if he was flying around the world and he's 81 and he's tired, if he's tired, he doesn't need Ambien. But if he was saying, because again, Hunter looked kind of jittery and he was dropping a lot of F-bombs, so I don't know if he was high or not. But maybe what he was trying to explain is that they have been using Ambien for presidents who have to travel, different time zones, avoid jet lag, help him sleep, and then be up and ready to go for something. But if he's tired and he just flew around the world, he could probably fall asleep on his own. Now, we don't know when he took the Ambien, but it does have increased side effects, especially if you're over 70. You might not metabolize the drug well. If they gave him the full 10 milligrams and not cut it in half, even 2.5 milligrams works of Ambien. So I'm not exactly sure what he took and how much. But saying that his poor debate was because of Ambien, Now, according to New York Times, the then president arrived hours later than scheduled to inspect the CNN debate stage on the night of July 27, 2024. He did this after spending more than 4 hours out of sight at a hotel nearby. And I don't mind you taking a nap. The commander-in-chief is allowed to take a nap. But if we need to wake you up to manage the football or the big red button or to make decisions, we need you up. And, for Hunter Biden to blame Ambien, it is, though, telling, because knowing that he needed Ambien suggested that he did struggle with sleep. And they were sedating him, even if it's technically not like a non-hypnotic and not a benzodiazepine. They were giving him medication to sleep. And then conspiracy theorists start to ask, well, wait a second. Ambien's pretty powerful, especially if you're over 70. Was the auto pen used after said Ambien was given. If the president is asleep, what was being done in his absence? Now, after this debate, which was really difficult to see, Biden stepped aside, and the Democratic Party asked him to. And what was fascinating to me with this whole, with this whole thing is we looked at the medical reports that Dr. O'Connor had given, and they usually, these medical reports talk about medications they're on. It never mentioned Ambien. Was it a medication that the doctor gave him? And we usually don't like to use Ambien in older individuals. We don't think it's safe, especially if they're having memory loss, because we do know that Ambien causes memory loss. So was he not being forthcoming? Was Hunter supplying his father drugs to sleep? There's a lot of missteps. And as a physician, I am willing to give, the doctor the benefit of the doubt, having had patients that refuse everything, say, I don't want a colonoscopy, I don't want a prostate check, I don't want mammograms, I don't want any of this. I don't want you to do any of this. There's AMA forms. Or you document they refused. They refused. That's why we missed the prostate cancer, because they refused screening. They refused the cognitive test. They refused. But at some point, you need to say, look, then I guess I can't be your doctor. You have every right to refuse. But for me to do my art and my work to keep you alive, and you are the most powerful person in the world, if you are refusing, I'm limited at my job. And if I'm not able to do my job to its full potential, I need to resign. So then you leave. But no, he stayed on. So are you leaving things out as it pertained to what he took? The other thing I noticed is the night of the debate, I was broadcasting at KDON and KXNT with Steve Sanchez and Alan Stock at the time. I was noticing on CNN, it was almost like they got the thumbs up that they could now start talking about, you know what? I don't think Biden should continue. It's almost like somebody from the Democratic Party said, we give you permission. You could go ahead. And once they got that permission, then they were able to talk about it. So who is the person giving the thumbs up or the thumbs down? And who relayed that to CNN and the other news outlets? Fox News was talking about it. Newsmax was talking about it for years. But MSNBC and CNN said, no, he's lucid. He's great. He's this. And it was also interesting that the networks were rushing for the debate. They kept pressing, we need a debate. We need a debate. Now, we know networks need money, and they're highly publicized, and they make a lot of money on these debates. But if they knew that Biden wasn't going to do a good job, why would they rush? My guess is they knew. They had to get him on the debate stage, so they had the excuse to kick him out. This was all planned. They knew for months, they probably knew for years, that this had to happen. But now Ambien is back in the center of the story. And did the doctor really give it to him? 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away. Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
At Hot Shot Secret, we share the science behind common diesel problems. For example,
diesel fuel cetane levels.
The cetane rating in diesel fuel is 42 to 45. Most diesel engines operate more efficiently with a cetane rating of 48 to 50. One treatment of Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme will raise your cetane 7 points, increase fuel economy, and improve cold starts.
Hot Shot Secret Diesel Extreme is available nationwide at truck stops, fine farm and auto stores, and online at hotshotsecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.